I recently went through the DC solicitations for October. A couple of you said that was valuable. It was good to kind of get a picture of what's going on. I like to look through these from more or less a retailer perspective, kind of what I'd be looking for when I'm ordering, and kind of what expected to move in the shop and not. So let's do the same thing for Marvel, shall we? Hey everybody, this is Perch. We're taking a look at the Marvel October solicitations. Now, Marvel at this point in October is sandwiched between two events. We've got Empire that is wrapping up, or kind of in that final end, and in a few months, 2 months, we're going to be getting into King in Black, the big heavy metal Null event, and then sandwiched in between that is Ten of Swords. So you really got a lot of issues kind of tied up in crossovers and events, and you're going to see that as soon as we get into it. So sure enough, let's do it. So right off the bat, Wolverine number 6, this is a Ten of Swords crossover. Nice iconic cover there that will move really nicely on the shelves. But you're going to see this theme for the solicitations where the comments are Descent, Penance, a legendary power reclaimed. And as we go through, nice to see Victor Bogdanovic here, and he's doing his, well, not quite. This looks like a Kubert cover, isn't it? Cover by Adam Kubert, interior by Victor. He made a stand recently on Twitter saying he didn't want to do comics if he wasn't also on the cover, and I think that was an awesome stand. And I hope that going forward that does stick. Anyway, you're going to see this happen for the Ten of Swords titles. This kind of very, Descent, Penance, legendary power reclaimed. That really doesn't tell us much. Now, once you're into the title, I'm sure these things will make sense. But once the titles are coming out and you're reading them, you wouldn't be going back to the October solicitation. So this stuff is kind of cutesy, but it also indicates a certain arrogance. It's kind of Marvel saying, we know you're going to buy this, or, we believe the X-Men line is strong enough that we don't need to really advertise the book. Remember, these solicitations are for retailers trying to determine what they're going to order, and this does not do it. So as we go to X-Force number 13, again, some nice covers, some stuff. This is all Ten of Swords. We get we get Stealth, the Power Within, the Burden of Knowledge. I'm gonna say, so Victor Bogdanovic, again, a cover by Dustin Weaver. I'm surprised if he's doing both of these. If so, it's going to be kind of a nice situation where you get Wolverine and then X-Force with a similar artist across 2 issues. That'll be nice. But I have my doubts. This feels like a mistake. In any event, then we get Marauders and A Secret Fight, A Long Journey, A Thief and a Queen. All right. Again, we are seeing every single one of these has a different cover from this. By the way, Stefan Segovia is definitely giving a Mark Silvestri vibe here in a lot, especially the way he draws Havoc. It definitely has that feel for Hellions. But anyway, Desperation, Help from Unexpected Places, and Advance into the Unknown, New Mutants. We're in the 4th issue at this point. Discipline, Diligence, Sword of the Self. All right. Cable. Hey, finally, Phil Nato, art and cover. How about that? We're on the 5th issue and we finally get to it. And there's number 6, Excalibur. All right. God, you're putting RB Silva on art, and then you're getting a variant cover. This is craziness. But you see, as we get through all the X-Men titles, these are all Ten of Swords. This is what, the 7th one, I think now? At this point, Lessons, Longing, what kind of be done. So I think that's it. That is it of the core titles. And then we got X-Swords Status, or Stasis, number 1, I should say. Ritual Parliament, A Game Begins. So here's the problem. As a retailer, if you're looking at all this, like I said, I wanted to really highlight, this is no good. This does not tell you nearly enough to what to order if there's a big kind of changing event. Typically, especially when we're talking 27 odd titles as part of this, you need to do more to kind of highlight that, hey, this is the second act beginning, or this is a big surprise death or something. You just need to order. Otherwise, you're just hoping that retailers are going to order everything equally, or kind of guess. But this is really bad. Especially, we have $3.99 titles, and we have X-Men Stasis. What is this? Is it it's part 11? Okay. So why did we create another comic to go in here? What does this mean? It's a one shot. It's $1 more, but what's happening? So, I mean, this event will probably be fine. It will be nice to see some big things going on in X-Men. I mean, okay. But this is not helpful. If you're ordering comics, you really, at this point, Marvel is looking at this saying, we know everybody's going to go all in on X-Men. We know people are just going to buy it. So we really don't need to put much effort into kind of how this all works. We're just going to assume that, everybody's buying this no matter what. That's what they're saying. And maybe that's a safe assumption, but it's an arrogant one. It irritates me that they're trying to be cutesy, but again, this is not going to the fan. I mean, fans do look at this certainly, but the primary purpose of the solicitations is so you order off of this. And this kind of stuff doesn't help any order. And again, no fan is going to care. By the time October rolls around, you're not going to even remember this website or this stuff exists. So it's a mistake. Anyway, getting off the Ten of Swords stuff, we get Amazing Spider-Man number 50. This is an anniversary issue. And finally, it looks like we are getting to kind of the storyline that was kicked off in the very first issue here. Something is going on. We got, looks like evil spider people. It's a landmark, beginning of a life. Artist Patrick Gleason. Cool. About Ryan Otley coming onto the title, and his style really fit Spider-Man, but then he's been off of it more than half the time, I think, at this point. And for this big anniversary 50 issue, you would hope that kind of team that launched the book would be reunited with it. But okay, fine. This is the saga that is called Last Remains, and it's going to be Kindred really coming at Spider-Man and doing something evil and going to wreak some havoc. So we'll see what happens. We are tying in with some other Spider books. So this one, Marvel is not hyping like Ten of Swords is a big crossover, but there is other stuff going on. We do have Last Remains is so huge it cannot be contained in the pages of Major Spider-Man. So we've got a spinoff here, a number 50.LR. Last Remain. Okay, so the bombshell dropped in 49. Rolls toward one of Marvel's. So it's kind of the spider heroes. It's like lightweight Spider-Verse stuff, which is fine. But again, it's just another crossover. So then we are getting number 51. More, this is the Last Remain storyline. Again, I'm a little surprised by Marvel not promoting this. This is Kindred, the villain they've been building up now for 50 issues. Big connections to Spider-Man and to Mary Jane and to kind of the whole bit. So it's odd to see this kind of big reveal very much shuffled to the back in terms of advertising. It's really been Ten of Swords is what they're putting out front and center, and this is kind of just filling it in the background. So, all right, Doctor Strange is going to help him out, sure. And then we get a number 51.LR. So again, this looks like more tie-ins with the rest of the Spider family. The Order of the Web has to find a way to save Peter Parker. Okay, so 4 issues here with this Last Remains storyline. All right, so that's this will probably do okay. I mean, people are waiting for a payoff, but unfortunately, unless Marvel really is heading toward they're going to restore the marriage or give the memory back or something. It's going to fall a little flat in the end if there's not a kind of a really big payoff given how much they've teased some of this stuff, but we'll see. So Spider-Man Noir is wrapping up, number 5. All right, this has been a fun little issue if you've been following along. It's good stuff. I still now hear Nick Cage's voice whenever I look at this stuff. Spider-Man Marvel Snapshots. This will be interesting. So Howard Chaykin is doing this one. Kurt Busiek and Chaykin are writing it. And this is, this has a decent, I think Spider-Man has done really well recently with these kinds of, for lack of a better word, out of continuity kind of one-off stories. And this is Spider-Man fighting, supervillain gang war. And, that's probably all good. It'll be interesting to see Chaykin back on Spider-Man a little bit. His style is very distinctive, and that'll be interesting. Then we have Spider-Woman number 5 or Spider-Woman 100, depending on who you want to believe. So this is a, slightly more expensive blockbuster 100th issue. To go to a blockbuster issue 5 issues in is quite a feat. Will Spider-Woman vomit in this one? We'll see. But her body turns against her. Enemies are close to home. All right. And then Spider-Man. Oh my goodness. So Spider-Man number 5 of 5. Does anybody remember this thing even existing at this point? It is, this is the son of Peter with one arm. And, this was the J.J. Abrams and Henry Abrams father and son, Sarah Pacelli. You can't believe that this is happening. This was a super clunky comic. just from the very beginning, and it only got more clunky as it went along. This Marvel was really banking on being massive and huge, but at this point, I don't even think the trade is going to do particularly well. It is an off-continuity, so the son of Mary Jane and Spider-Man is an unwinnable fight. Does his absentee dad and dead mother teach him? Okay, sure. It's funny how this ran out, though, because this was, you look back when this first was put out. I mean, Marvel was kind of thinking this could be 1 million copies sold of this thing. I mean, I mean, okay. Miles Morales, Spider-Man. Okay, we got Evil Miles. Sure. This book is an interesting character. Had a movie that did really well and should be doing better, but this comic is kind of lost in the shuffle, and I'm starting to blame the constant kind of events and crossovers. It's really having its impact on the B comics, and they just don't have any place to breathe. So even if this stuff really kind of goes out, it's like nobody really notices or cares. But anyway, a man battling a man who shares his name was his clone. It's a clone saga for Miles. So yeah, I'm sure clone sagas always do great for Spider-Man. Then we got Warhammer 40,000. This is a bit of a surprise that this is coming out, but okay, we're going to do some game comics anyway. This is Kieran Gillen writing. So back at Marvel again, he's got definitely this love and affection. So I suspect this will be, if you're a Warhammer fan, this will be a nice big comic. But it is interesting to see it kind of pop out here with like zero fanfare, and I'm wondering if Marvel's expecting, somebody else to do it. Or, does the world of Warhammer, this is but the first foray into the larger darkness that is to come from the Warhammer Marvel Comics union. Did anybody know this union was happening? I mean, there were some news articles on it, but not many. So this is just, it's really kind of vanished. And so oh well, we'll see. Rise of Ultraman. There's been a little bit more promotion around this, but here we've got, the second issue of this series. Then Iron Man #2. So this is Iron Man relaunched without Dan Slott. Christopher Cantwell is promising a down-to-earth Iron Man. It kind of has a more classic-looking, costume. At this point, Alex Ross is doing all the covers, I think. So Tony Stark continues to dismantle his fancy, shiny, sophisticated ways of the past. He's ready for taking the fight to the streets with Arcade and the Absorbing Man, and then Cardiac. This is a lot. And then Hellcat's coming in, and Korvac. So this is a lot coming in all at once on the second issue. I'm optimistic about it, though. I like the you recognize all of these people. You don't see a storyline based on Tony Stark trying to build some new AI or die again. The funny part with Slott's run as he came on it is that so many of the ideas were retreads. I mean, we saw both Matt Fraction and Brian Michael Bendis kill Tony or have Tony kind of reboot and have to rebuild himself. And so what does Dan Slott do? He throws him back into the exact same scenario again. So I'm looking forward to Tony not being dead or having to mind wipe or anything else, and maybe just taking on some villains. So I mean, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic. Fantastic Four #25 is being billed as a new era. There shall come a reckoning. This is spinning out of Empire with a Y. So new artist, RB Silva, new villains, new uniforms. Yeah, there are the uniforms. It's sort of new. They got a little collar thing going on. All right. Or maybe this isn't the new uniform. I don't know. A major new permanent status quo change for the Marvel's First Family. The expectation is that Franklin and Valeria are kind of segueing out, and the Kree and Skrull are joining the family. Or maybe they're joining the family and you just got a big family and we're doing this. So Dr. Doom and one of the most important characters in the entire cosmos returns from the dead. This is intended to be the Silver Surfer is the plan. So, and the expectation is the Fantastic Four is going back out into space or something based on the new space age. So here's the Neil Adams, Mark Waid Fantastic Four comic. We're in issue #3 of 4. This one has kind of vanished from people's attention. It's just it's not getting a lot of coverage, and Neil Adams has obviously a huge career and record within comics, but these days his comics just kind of roll out and there's just no fanfare for any of it. Black Widow #2 with J. Scott Campbell is always a good way to sell a comic. So Kelly Thompson is doing this book, and this is intended to kind of tee up the movie. So, I think this Natasha Romanoff is happy, and she's living a great life, and but something is wrong. If we get a comic, by the way, and it's Black Widow, and she's doing spa stuff, and she's kind of just chilling and watching Netflix, that's not what anybody's looking for, and it's not going to tie into the movie well. But who knows? Maybe this is going to usher in the new Black Widow, big status quo changing. Then they could do Black Widow number 1000. Why not? Marvel is just itching to get that DC money for these anniversary issues, and that's really what it is. Like, let's count the comics as fast as we possibly can so we can get the big cash. That's what it's all about. So another True Believers comic. These are nice. These are great ways to get people into comics cheap, dollar. Really based on the Black Widow and some of the Avengers stuff. So, but these are a bunch of True Believers books, all designed to kind of fit in when they hope the movie will come out in October. We will see. And the Facsimile edition. And then another Black Widow, Widow's Sting. This is too many Black Widow books. I understand you want to tie into the movie, but most of these are going to get completely lost in the shuffle. But Ralph Macchio, back doing a comic. That's cool. So, all right. Then the original Marvel Zombies, Marvel Tales, and this is the original. So we also have Marvel Zombies Resurrection here. They're reprinting all these. I mean, as somebody at Marvel is seeing that Deceased is making a ton of money and they went on that, and that, okay, sure. Juggernaut, number 205. This is a book that was advertised with Ron Garney and with some fanfare, and it's just with Ten of Swords and the shutdown and the delays, like they've got to almost go back to the drawing board and remind people that this book exists. But Juggernaut versus Hulk should be a fun time. Fabian and Garney is a good mix. And then Savage Avengers number 13, another book that has been completely forgotten for quite some time. We're getting, here's Wolverine, Conan, Doctor Strange, Elektra, Black Widow, Hellstorm, Voodoo, Magic, and more, all to go against Cool and Goth. I'm surprised this book is still going. You got to figure this book is coming to an end at some point in the future. I mean, how far can they go? But it's giving Patch Zurcher work. So there's that. But this comic is just kind of MIA, and the fact that they didn't get it back on the schedule and it's just kind of completely under the radar makes me think that this title probably doesn't have that much longer to live, but who knows? I could be wrong. 5-issue Shang-Chi. I like how a lot of their limited series have moved to 5 now. It makes me think they're still going to charge the same amount for the graphic novels, but this gives, not doing that 6th issue for the trade means that they can fill that extra content up with all the variant covers and things. So that's where that extra page count can go. Anyway, Werewolf by Night. Oh, this one's 4. Right after I say that, of course, I am proven wrong. So that looks like a problematic symbol here on here. If he was doing the OK symbol, then you'd have a huge mess on your hands. But anyway, Werewolf by Night. Sure, this is by Taboo of the Black Eyed Peas. As Marvel continues to experiment with writers from the entertainment industry and other places. Maestro. This could be fun. So this is Peter David teaming back up with Dale Keown and Jermaine Peralta. I'm curious what each person is doing. Hopefully it's not this kind of weird mixed issue. But, Peter David did some pretty legendary stories with the Maestro and the Hulk back in the day. So this is, if you're a fan of that stuff, this is where you want to go. Is that the ultimate freaking nullifier in this guy's hand? Okay. There you go. Meanwhile, in Immortal Hulk number 38, which is coming to an end, Al Ewing's run is starting to stop, but this is, we're getting back to someone is reaching through the green door. The Devil Hulk is here. It feels like the Hulk had a brief foray into wanting to kind of talk about contemporary topics and politics, and now they're coming back into just the roots of the comic, the horror elements, and kind of really exploring the Hulk. So that's good to see. That was what was popular. That whole Roxanne storyline was just odd. It wasn't the politics of it so far. It was that they had a social media network called Roxface. That was just unforgivable. And then we get Immortal Hulk number 39, so 2 issues this month, and and some time ago in Outside Force entered Bruce Banner's system. The Devil says it's the Green Scar. The Green Scar says it's the Devil. Maybe they're both right or both wrong. It's going to be interesting. This is a lot of mythology around the Hulk. So how this all wraps up is going to be fascinating to see. But it's been by and large a nice different run, and you definitely give it credit for that. Over in Avengers 37, we are still messing around with Moon Knight at the age of Khonshu. I always think Klathoth, so I always mix it up with something else, but Khonshu. Anyway, so deep in the heart of New Thebes City, Moon Knight has to make a choice. Is the Earth doomed either way? It's hard to take this. The whole world has been distorted by Moon Knight and the power mad Khonshu. When you've got the Earth also invaded by plants over in the area, and you've got the Venom stuff coming over in Null. So it's hard to take this as a serious threat because anyway, it's just in this comic. But it's a shame because this idea of Moon Knight and Khonshu kind of giving the Avengers some real trouble is one that a lot of people really would have got excited about once upon a time. But now it's like, oh, it's another Earth threat. Well, this one can't be that big a deal because we're not doing an event out of it. So, wah. Just sad. Captain America 24. We're getting around. That's a killer, literally killer cover by Alex Ross here, who's got all the covers this month. But this is the Red Skull looking evil. And I like it when the villains look like they've done some terrible stuff. That means that there's a big threat that the heroes need to come. That's a crazy cover. But anyway, the Red Skull lives. This is a good representation of the Red Skull and his legacy. Make this guy awful, and then just make it so meaningful when Captain America can overcome this threat. It's some good stuff. This has really been an oddball title, unfortunately. But Daniel Kuna, Tanishi Coates, collaborator, coming back onto the books. That should be a nice Acuna doing Red Skull, and Captain America is nothing wrong with that. His stuff in Uncanny Avengers was pretty great, so anxious to see what Acuna can do. Hopefully, Tanishi Coates, since he's been building all to this, can give us a pretty epic ending. But I'm not holding my breath, but I would love to see it happen. Meanwhile, in Doctor Doom number 8, we've got robots, and sure. This Black Hole is still going. Again, this is another title. So another victim of kind of both the shutdown and all the events. It's like there's a black hole threatening the planet, and the ultimate nullifier is in hand. And what's Doom going to do? I mean, it doesn't matter. That's the problem. Falcon and Winter Soldier number 4 or 5, leaving that room for variant covers here. This was supposed to tie in with a nice Disney Plus series, so now. Well, that's not going to happen. Captain Marvel number 22. She does not have the accuser's hammer anymore, I guess, but New York City is under attack. Captain Marvel can't save them. What? Stolen away to a far future. Carol Danvers fades as a threat unlike she's ever known. Well, that's good. Brand new villains and heroes cast, familiar and strange, big time action, kind of okay. A nice big story arc. The start of a brand new arc. It's a brave new world. I think we just saw Captain Marvel go into an area. This whole run began with an unfamiliar, world of some people. But all right. The big action you come to expect from the architects of the hit, The Last Avenger. This was the storyline where Captain Marvel pretended to be a bad guy and beat up all the Avengers. So, sure. It's a shame. I know a lot of the people reading this just hate this character and everything else, but I think Captain Marvel could be a pretty badass character for Marvel. We've seen signs of it in the past. Just they're always like it's like she goes somewhere else. They're always getting her away from Earth and away from fighting things. And it's like, what would be a great way to build up Captain Marvel? Have her fight big Marvel villains and do some big moments. But instead, they're always like, let's send her into a strange future with new villains and heroes. No, that doesn't build anything. It just this won't build loyalty to this title. It's just, it will always feel like she's off doing stuff that's not as important to the Marvel Universe because all the real action is happening somewhere else. Hey, you want to show what this character's really, you know how in Endgame, you didn't have a lot of Captain Marvel, and then right at the end, Thanos is just wrecking stuff, and then suddenly the cannons go up in space, and Captain Marvel just annihilates that ship. That was smart. That was good. That was Captain Marvel coming to face Thanos and that threat and blowing stuff up everywhere. It made that character look tough and strong. Some people were against it because you need to look too strong. But if you're gonna go for it. But you put her in the future, and all this says is this may or may not matter as a comic, and nobody likes to hear, especially within comics. But the creators don't like to hear. But you give the readers something that really counts. Anyway, Web of Venom Empire's in, the comic that ties Empire in with Null. So here's, the Coati and Skrulls and Kree, and they're getting eaten by black goo. So awesome. So for weeks, chaos engulfed Earth and space alike. We're Carnage, then Kree Skrull, and then a complete shade here to Ten of Swords. We don't mention that at all, but Null is coming, and this is going to be an event or a comic that leads into the event because we need some of those. Meanwhile, over in Venom, we've got an unfamiliar world. Sure. Kind of like Captain Marvel. Again, Venom has been a much stronger title, but the majority of it has been spent facing kind of Earth villains and recognizable characters. So this is where once you've established that groundwork, you got really good sales, a lot of momentum, then you send them off into alternate worlds and you have them fight, anti-Venom or whatever it happens to be, whatever. Guardians of the Galaxy #7. And I see Raphael Albuquerque. Again, variant covers. The New Age of Space is here. In the wake of Empire, the political map of the galaxy has been redrawn, which means it's nice for peaceful diplomatic convo. Okay. Marvel Boy is going to be on his best behavior and maybe kill off some people. All right. The Guardians of the Galaxy book hasn't found its footing yet. Donny Cates had a relatively short, fairly memorable run. Al Ewing has come on to it. There was a shutdown kind of early on, of course, into his run, and now here we are. And it hasn't yet hit that stride. Nobody believes Peter Krill is actually dead. And so it's here. And then in Thor, he gets a sandwich. So Thor's having a sandwich while some people get beat up outside. That's classic Thor. Yeah, you jokester. Anyway, who wants to pick up Thor's hammer in Oklahoma? Champions, #1 of 5. So I thought this was going to be an ongoing series, but it looks like it's been moved to a limited series. This is Outlawed, finally in October, really kind of coming to the forefront, where it's troubled times and the cradle. If you want this to be threatening, don't name it stupid things like this. But anyway, this is Outlawed finally coming to pass, which means in October, we're getting Ten of Swords. We're getting the Spider-Man crossover bit that I've already forgotten the name of. Last Resort, Last Rites, bad guy coming to hurt people, be mean. And then Outlawed is also here, and we're teeing up Null. So that's a lot going on. Strange Academy, fun little book sitting in a corner here. Scotty Young and Huberto Ramos. That's a good team. They should do more together. It's a fun little book. This is Harry Potter with Marvel characters and magic. I guess Harry Potter is magic. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, in Magnificent Miss Marvel, somebody saw Magnificent Miss Maisel, and that's what's going on here. But anyway, old Kamala Khan's being looked at by a creepy guy in a bowler hat. No, that's Dum Dum Duggan, who is a LMD at this point. Isn't he dead? I thought, or does that count anymore? I'm not sure. Well, I think he was a monster robot at one point. There's been a lot that's gone on with him. Daredevil, Chip Zdarsky and Marco Cacciato is Cacchetto. I was saying, these things go on too long. I wind up getting all tongue-tied by the time it's all over with. This has been a great run. And so we're bringing in Spider-Man to do some stuff. He's putting his life back together. He's got what looks like a reasonably classic costume, although he's got some cargo pants going on there. Because, you got to store some stuff. American Eagle was having a sale. Daredevil who got hooked up. And so Elektra's there, and she's got designs, and Typhoid Mary Bullseye. What makes this title classic? Why has it got so much attention? Hey, look, we recognize all the names. They introduce new people, but they also give us some villains that we're familiar with. Even though Bullseye is a bit played out, it's all there. That's smart stuff. In Deadpool, he's getting shot. This title is with every relaunch of Deadpool, it's getting less popular. And even though Elsa Bloodstone is a very interesting mix, I think, for Deadpool and is something to pay attention to, it's just this title is not going well. We do have a Chris Bachalo cover, but it's Gerardo Sandoval on the interiors, which will be a disappointment to some. Sandoval's fine, but it's because Bachalo was doing the comic, this becomes one of those kind of bait and switch things where you assume because the artist started on the book that, a few issues in, 7 issues in, that's okay. It's about time for a relaunch. About 7 issues in that they'd still be there, especially if they were doing the cover. But no, it has changed. Anyway, Marvel's 10, however you want to call it, that's wrapping up, number 6. Conan O'Barbarian is here. Jim Zub is doing a good classic job on this book. We got a couple other Conan things here. Star Wars is still trucking along. It is funny though how much momentum Star Wars lost over the last, because when this title first kicked off, when Marvel did it, was huge. It had big sales, people were into it, and then it just vanished. I think Charles Soule is a decent writer doing it, but it is the momentum is gone from Star Wars, and it's got to get picked up again. But we're getting Darth Vader with some flying lightning there, and this bounty hunter's book that is on issue 6 and still going. I'm surprised the market is here for this to still go. I'm not sure when this ends. I was really under the impression it was a limited series, but there you go. Dr. Aphra is back, so we're still doing hers. And then, here's a checklist and some other things. But a lot of comics, the one thing I'll draw your attention to before we wrap all this up is these comics, I noticed this earlier, they're unbalanced. So on the 7th, we get a decent amount of things. We get a couple books. If this truly is both Bogdanavik in both, you're getting 2 issues of this series, one right next to each other. That's pretty crazy. Same artist, same week. But then as you get into some of these things, I think you have just a weird balance of comics. And given that so many things are double shipping, or like, Hulk is, at least they do have Hulk right. So Hulk on the 14th, we get a Hulk issue, and then 2 weeks later we get another Hulk issue. Spider-Man is doing the weekly thing for Last Rights. Thank you, LR. Maybe it's not as unbalanced as I thought, but you do have kind of an odd collection of issues, and it was really, here you have 10 of Swords, 2 of them, or maybe more, 3 of them. There's Marauders. And then the next week you've got Hellions and you've got New Mutants, so 2. And then, and 3, there's Cable. Then the next week, you've got Excalibur, and you've got X-Men. And then the final week, you've got this Stasis book. It sounds like, a little quibble. That hat looks ridiculous, man. But it's just a very odd, this last week is extremely weak for Marvel. I mean, if you look at this and you're a retailer, this is the week you fear, because there's not much coming out. At this point, you're really hoping the Last Rights is just selling like mad, and that's going to work out. Otherwise, your week is really hooked on the Immortal Hulk, and then hopefully people show up for Stasis, and it hasn't all tipped over by then. But anyway, some planning issues. But there you go. There's Marvel for October. What do you think? You buying all those? You in on a lot of that stuff? Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter or Facebook at Comic Perch, and thanks for listening.